Hello and welcome to another episode. Just kidding. If you haven't done already, make sure you subscribe, and if you enjoy the video at the end of it and you like it, make sure to, yeah, you know what to do. Anyway, so I wasn't gonna cover this video because obviously everybody on the internet is covering it, so I guess I can talk about it really. Um, when a company makes a product, they tend to do a lot of testing in it before it actually even reaches our hands or anybody. So they test everything to make sure that it does not malfunction, to make sure that it functions the way that it's supposed to. And with the Xbox Series X is no exception. I have been hearing stuff that it's overheating, but that's a very small amount. But just like with any new technology, there's going to be flaws. There's something is going to go wrong. There's very small percentage of a likelihood that you might get a defective product. That has happened with the Xbox One X, but they minimize that damage because they learned their lesson from the Xbox 360. So when they went to the next generation, the um, eighth gen, they put a big old fan on top of the Xbox One because they didn't want the console to overheat. Now, I'm pretty sure Microsoft has learned their lesson and not to repeat this same issue. But there are certain units that are supposedly getting overheating or maybe running too hot. But when it's running too hot, obviously the console is doing something. It's updating, or when you're playing a game. Even when my Xbox One X right here that's next to me, when it's on standby, it still runs warm, not hot, but it runs warm. And you got to take the consideration that in everything that's inside that console and all the tech that's inside, of course, it's gonna run hot. But I'd rather have like all the heat exhausting out of the console instead of being inside, because when it just stays inside, what's gonna happen? The console is going to overheat, obviously. And another thing is like you want to make sure you put your console in a very open area, a ventilated area. So if you have like a very small entertainment center or it's very congested, there's not a lot of space, I wouldn't recommend you putting it there because you might have issues with it. But other than that, like I want to see more. If more people or more journalists that are getting hands on with the console experiencing the same thing, then Microsoft might have to rethought whether to launch this holiday because it's gonna be a cluster fudge. You know what I meant though. You know what I really meant. But YouTube's really picky with the videos, so I gotta watch what I say so they can recommend me to more people. Otherwise, you get shunned down. Then you're screwed because you'll never grow. Anyway, I just wanted to talk like I wanted to talk. Oh, I wanted to cover this story, but I didn't want to do it because everybody else was just how like when something comes out, everybody just kind of like falls in line and just goes and puts informations out. I wanted to wait a little bit, or at least kind of like gather my thoughts and get you guys the right thing, or say the right things for you, but not always saying the right thing. I'm not always saying the right thing, but I try my best because it's very hard. But anyway, I'm sure Microsoft has learned from their 360 days, especially with the new Xbox One X. They learned that the Xbox One X is super quiet and it runs super cool. Like I don't even hear the console at all. So, and they're going to be doing the same thing with the Series X. That console is supposedly quiet even though it's running hot. Um, and also like with the expansion slot is right in the backside of the console, right next to where the heatsink is and all that other stuff. So it's right next to it. So maybe that's why it's hot. And then also another thing is you got to take into consideration is it's made of metal, because if it's plastic, or at least the part that slides into the console is metal, because if it's plastic, it might be it might melt, or it might certain things might happen to it. So I'm glad that they went that way. I am going to be testing that out, that theory, if it is just a very small a small defective, or if it's just a small, I don't know what's a word for that, like a small amount of people that are going to be having those issue where it's running that hot and heating up the storage, the additional 1 terabyte SSD, or is it just going to be on all the consoles? So I have two Xbox Series X's that are coming, and I'm going to try it on mine, and I'm going to try it on the other one that's going to be downstairs as well. And I will let you guys know the real of what's going on. If it's just a pre-release thing, or is it actually like a consumer product that's having that issue as well? Because if it is, I do believe that Microsoft will recall the consoles, because it's not going to be a good look, especially if anything goes wrong. The fact that they don't have a lot of games at launch, that's a problem for some people. But I'm an Xbox person, so I play all my third party on the Xbox. I don't mind that it does not have the first party support. Well, at least the third party is not there yet. They acquired a bunch of studio, but it's gonna take time before they reach their full potential. So maybe like what, maybe 2, 3 years roughly, we'll start getting those first party games. But for me, I also got the PlayStation 5, so I'm gonna be playing the first party games over there. So I get you know two of both worlds. Get the two, but no, no. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, you know what to do, and if you don't like it, oh well, go kick rocks or something. Just being real. Have a good one.